Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to completely unpack one of the absolute most fascinating and frankly revealing mysteries to hit the internet lately. Look, we all spend so much of our time just endlessly scrolling through feeds, right? We're looking for animal pictures, hunting for that quick hit of dopamine. But what happens when the thing we're staring at isn't just unusual, but literally challenges our basic understanding of what's real and what's totally manufactured? Today, we are exploring the curious case of the Cattoo. It was this massive viral moment that sparked a huge ethical debate, forced us to seriously question our own digital literacy, and, well, ultimately led to a surprisingly heartwarming conclusion. So, let's get started.
So, I want you to imagine opening up your feed and just instantly being confronted with this visceral image. It's a feline, sitting there, looking unbelievably tough, and it's sporting what looks exactly like a full, incredibly intricate sleeve tattoo all the way down its front leg. I mean, the internet just collectively gasped. The sheer visual impact of this thing was completely undeniable. One user actually hit the nail on the head and perfectly captured the initial awe, writing, "That cat is a yakuza. Don't mess with him." And people were just blown away. Pulling off a full sleeve on an animal, that is something you literally just never see. And the immediate reaction was this pure, unfiltered amazement at this incredibly badass-looking animal.
And when I say the internet reacted, I mean it absolutely exploded. This single, highly controversial image just rapidly shot straight to the top of the Reddit charts, hitting both the r/all and r/popular feeds almost instantly. It amassed a staggering 145,000 upvotes in record time. We're talking about massive, top-tier scale virality here. Literally hundreds of thousands of people were stopping their scrolling, completely captivated by the visual of this heavily inked feline. For a minute there, it was the digital water cooler topic of the day. And of course, you know how it goes. When the internet gets a hold of something this visually striking, the community's creativity just shifts into absolute overdrive. The comment section practically overnight turned into a goldmine of pop culture puns. You had people excitedly tossing around these hilarious nicknames like Bucky the Winter Paw, Johnny Silver Paw, and my personal favorite, Sleevey Nicks. Someone even joked it was Dr. Seuss's dark, less successful sequel, Cat with a Tat. It was fun, it was super energetic, and really, it was a true testament to how quickly our digital communities will try to adopt and brand these wild viral anomalies. But you know, almost as quickly as that hype built up, a really dark cloud kind of moved over the whole comment section. Suddenly, we had to confront a very serious ethical dilemma. Let's break down this dynamic for a second. On one hand, you have the cool factor, right? The undeniable aesthetic appeal of the image. But on the exact opposite side, you have the cruel factor. Tattoos are painful. They require consent. Putting a literal needle to a cat's skin just for the sake of human aesthetics, I mean, that crosses a massive, massive ethical line. So seemingly overnight, the conversation completely shifted. It wasn't just about how cool the cat looked anymore. It turned into this incredibly intense debate about animal abuse and the extreme lengths people will apparently go to just for internet clout. The tension in the thread absolutely skyrocketed. Deeply concerned animal lovers started pushing back, and I mean pushing back hard, which actually resulted in over 1,400 downvotes on the post. It got so unbelievably heated that the automated moderators actually had to step in and intervene. They placed this pinned warning right at the top of the thread, basically begging everyone to please remember the human, do not tell people how they should raise their cats. And honestly, this warning perfectly encapsulates the friction of that exact moment. You've got thousands of people totally furious at an owner they firmly believe is actively abusing their pet, and on the other side, moderators just desperately trying to maintain some semblance of digital peace. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it forces us to completely shift our entire perspective. Think about it. All of that intense anger, all of that passionate ethical debate, even all of those incredibly clever little nicknames, every single bit of it was predicated on one core assumption, that we were all looking at a living, breathing creature. But right smack in the middle of this intense, fiery debate, a few eagle-eyed users started asking a totally different question. They stopped arguing, zoomed in, looked past the striking tattoo, and just asked, wait, what if this isn't even a photograph at all? And guys, this brings us right to a massive modern digital pain point. One particularly skeptical observer perfectly summarized this growing mistrust we all kind of feel online right now. They wrote, "Wow, that's epic. It's sad that when I see interesting things like this these days, I always have to wonder if it's AI. And wow, if that isn't the reality of our current internet, I don't know what is." The technology has just gotten so incredibly good, so incredibly quickly, that our default reaction to seeing anything extraordinary has completely shifted. It went from, wow, look at that amazing thing, to, wait a second, is this fake? We are literally all becoming inherent skeptics of our own daily feeds. So when the community finally put on their digital detective hats and looked closely, the illusion completely shattered. I mean, first off, the cat is just straight up missing its right rear leg entirely, which, is a classic AI glitch. Then, if you look closer at the ink itself, the tattoo behaves like a totally broken 3D texture map, just sort of randomly mapped onto the fur in a way that doesn't physically make sense. Plus, the whole image is surrounded by these strange, blurry, unexplained digital artifacts in the background. So the verdict was officially in. The cat wasn't real, not even a little bit. It is absolutely fascinating to step back and look at this stark contrast. On one hand, our perceived reality was this deeply emotionally charged narrative. We saw a tattooed badass, we fiercely debated animal cruelty, we mobilized our emotions, we used our humor, we voiced our outrage. But the actual reality, the truth, it was nothing more than a flawed AI generation. It was literally just pixels arranged by an algorithm that honestly doesn't even know what a cat's hind leg is actually supposed to look like. It's a really sobering reminder, isn't it? Showing us just how easily our most intense human emotions can be completely triggered by nothing more than lines of code. And this brilliantly illustrates the underlying wholesomeness that still exists in our internet communities. Because think about it, when the truth finally came out, people didn't just get angry at being fooled and log off. They didn't just abandon the thread. Instead, they organically pivoted. They took this contentious, entirely fake premise, and they flipped it into something beautifully, undeniably real. People actually started sharing their own creative, completely harmless versions of this whole concept. Like this one user who posted this really beautiful sentiment saying, "It's only a drawing, but it's of my cat with some of the tattoos I have." And I just love that because it totally flips the entire script. Instead of forcing human aesthetics onto an animal without its consent, humans were using their own art to blend their identities with their pets. It demonstrated that true, profound connection doesn't come from modifying our animal companions, but from finding ways to genuinely honor them. And from there, it just sparked this vibrant, incredibly wholesome trend. Suddenly, the feed was filling up with people sharing their actual ink. We're talking real, permanent tributes to their soul cats, full sleeves dedicated to their 4 pets, and just these absolutely beautiful custom portraits. And honestly, this is where the real beauty of this whole saga lies. It's ethical ink, right? It's humans enduring the needle themselves as a permanent way to honor their furry friends. And the community's response to this authentic love was just incredible. Let's look at the numbers again to put this in perspective. A single post about a human getting a tattoo of their cat garnered over 4,400 upvotes and dozens of genuinely supportive comments. Now, sure, I know what you're thinking. That might not be the crazy 145,000 upvotes of that shocking AI illusion we started with, but I'd argue it proves something way more vital. It proves that genuine love, real human stories, and authentic connections still deeply, deeply resonate with us. Even in an AI world, we still crave reality, and we absolutely love seeing people honor their pets in real, meaningful ways. So what does this all mean? The absolute crucial point we have to take away from this explainer is a pretty heavy question about our future. The whole Cattoo enigma was ultimately a relatively harmless test run, but as AI gets better and better at faking the fantastic, are we going to lose our ability to spot the real soul behind the screen? It's a huge wake-up call to stay vigilant, to always look a little closer at the details, and above all else, to truly value those genuine, unedited connections we share with each other and our pets. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious out there, and remember, always look twice.